Hey, this is BKP, and you're watching Good Morning from the Office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And at this time, I'm joined by Patrick Crain. Let me give you a little background. Mr. Crain has recently been arrested for disorderly conduct, and that was due to an altercation between him and the Swain Drive in there in Blue Ridge owner, Steve Setzer. But we're going to talk a little bit about today of what led up to that. Mr. Crain calling about noise ordinance, what happened in that situation. And we're going to just let the camera roll, and Mr. Crain and I are just going to have a discussion about what took place. Patrick, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Let's go back, not to the beginning, but before we get into some things, you live next to the drive-in, right?
Yeah.
And there's a noise ordinance in the city of Blue Ridge. Can you tell me what the noise ordinance is?
That an audible voice over 50 feet away from the building structure or place it's coming from.
And so you live next to the drive-in, and they play, is it 11 o'clock? Did you not tell me? Is the city ordinance 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock.
So they play movies after midnight and so on?
They go to 1:30, 1:45 during the summer.
And you have called the police a couple times about that?
The reason I've called is Steve, he took down the noise barrier fence, the security fence, did away with it, and it made it a lot louder. And then I know living there's going to be some noise, but when you can hear it in your bedroom at night and can't go to sleep, there's a problem.
Now, recently you and I sat down and talked, and I have told people before, because I'm going to just be honest with everybody. You and I have sat down one-on-one and had a conversation already.
Yes.
Okay. And in that conversation, we started talking about an organization that was created called the Concerned Citizens of Blue Ridge. On all the paperwork, you're listed as everything there. You're listed as the secretary, the CEO, CFO. How did that become you doing all of that and being the sole responsible person?
I really don't know, because I don't know that much about stuff like that. But Angie Arp, Mark Thomason, and Johnny Searce and Steve Setzer are the ones that I assume that came up with that, because Johnny called me to congratulate me on the phone, and I hadn't talked to him in over 2 years. And then I said, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, maybe you don't know yet."
Well, so did they make up the concerns? I want to get it clear for the citizens.
Lynn Wagner was the attorney.
Yeah.
She still won't give me the information. She won't even tell me who paid for it or who presented the ideal to her. And she said that she'd met me on 3 different occasions, and I never saw the lady other than that one time you and I were in there when we requested that information. I'd never saw her before in my life.
But they did. Angie Arp, Steve Setzer, Mark Thomason, Johnny Searce, they had meetings, they set this up, and you did go sign the paperwork, correct?
I mean, I was the only one in there, me and Lynn's, I guess, her secretary.
Assistant, okay. But now, were you aware that it was those 4 individuals?
Yes.
And they had meetings. Did you ever attend meetings with them?
No.
But they had meetings?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you candidly now, did they compensate you in any way to do this? Did you get paid, or did any money change hands, or anybody, any kind of...
They tipped occasionally.
Tipped occasionally? Can you tell me who it directly came from, or can you tell me who it directly came from or not?
Rather not.
You'd rather not, but you did get, I'll call it compensation, you call it a tip, but they would tip you occasionally. Yeah. Okay. But it was out of the 4. You'd rather not say, but it was out of the 4.
Everything that I got up in the council meetings and spoke about was already prepared for me by Angie.
So you would get tips, and you said you would rather not, but there was 4 names that we brought out today. So somewhere within those 4 names is where you would get the tip, and we'll just leave it at that?
Yeah.
Is that fair? Okay. So now you did make a presentation, and we're going to get all the way through to where you're at today, because I know you want to share some concerns you have today. But you made a presentation to the council. You kept continually going to the council and making a presentation based on violation charges by the mayor. and asking for an investigation.
Yes. That was on Angie's request. Angie and Mark's.
That's on Angie and Mark's.
Yes.
Mark Thomason, former
Yes.
Fannin Focus.
They were the two main ones that talked to me.
Okay, so when you went up and you made the request, because I have the video, so Miss Arp is sitting over here. While she's sitting over here, you're actually reading her words?
Exactly.
So when you're reading, this violation, this is this, you have an obligation as a council, you're reading what Miss Arp prepared for you, and she's not even 10 feet away.
Right. And that she had already spoken on several different occasions that who she had that would vote with her. So she had already spoke with a couple of the other council members about this. I mean, everything was pre-planned by her.
Set up. So she conveyed to you when you did this.
Yeah, and even text me and then, be sure and be there. Tonight's the council meeting and all this. We'll come by before you go to the council meeting and all that.
So she'd have everything ready. And when you went by and got the paperwork from her, did she directly hand it to you here,
yeah.
Patrick? Okay. So when you did that, she also conveyed to you that she had the votes, and when it came time, she would
said that the Bruce would back her, and Rodney was the two.
And that was because I do know Harold Herndon did not. When they voted, Councilwoman Rhonda Thomas voted no.
I never spoke with Bruce or anything. Bruce never come to me and talked to me.
But that was all set up through Miss Arp.
Yes.
Right. Bruce and Rodney never came and talked to you. You never had a discussion with Rodney Kendall?
No.
Right. Okay. So then she made a motion to go forward with an investigation. All right.
And then during the investigation, I'm the one who presented it.
Right.
But they never spoke to me, not one word.
So when the investigators, and it slips my mind who it was, I forget.
Gerard and Davis.
When Gerard and Davis did the investigation and they interviewed people, you were never interviewed.
Never
interviewed. Okay. Now let's fast forward a little bit here. Chief Searce, do you go way back with him?
I've known him for 27 years.
27 years. Have the two of you always gotten along?
Yeah.
Basically?
Mm-hmm.
What about Steve Setzer? How far back do you go with him?
Ever since I moved to Blue Ridge about 27 years ago.
Have you pretty much always got along?
Always got along.
What about Miss Arp?
But as long as...
I guess I tell you where I'm going with this is, what exactly triggered them to change when they started hearing or feeling that you... what happened that you decided to talk?
When they wouldn't give me... I'd ask for... I need something to prove what I'm getting up there and saying. And then they couldn't produce nothing. And that's whenever I started questioning everything that they'd already ever said to me.
Oh, so you're getting up there reading stuff and you're saying to them, wait a minute, why don't you come back with some proof? Quit just telling me what to do.
If I was presented with, hey, where's your facts at? The only facts that I had was my original complaints, which that's been taken care of.
Can I ask you this? When we talked the first time, I think I remember you saying something to the nature of, they said you basically felt like once it was done and the investigation went nowhere and it was finished, they were done with you.
They were through with me.
They were through with you.
Yeah, Angie told me, she said, if there's ever any legal stuff taken against you, I'll have my attorney handle it. And that was the biggest crock there was.
Okay, so NORS ordinance, you've been calling the police, they come out, what do?
Nothing. They tell me that I can't have my floodlights on or nothing.
Well, did they ever give Mr. Setzer a citation?
No.
Anything? Nothing?
Mm-mm. They told me it was a drive-in. I knew it was a drive-in whenever I built my house there.
Okay. You knew that. So then Mr. Setzer returned by calling about your floodlights, or who called about your floodlights?
He did.
But they're motion, right?
You're in motion. Yeah.
Right. And he called about your floodlights, and they showed up at your house and told
me, Michael Green told me, he said, if you don't cut them off, I want to arrest you.
Michael Green did.
Yeah. So, what's the option? Either go to jail or cut the floodlights off. So I cut them off.
But they're motion. And I asked that twice because I personally have motion, and
Yeah.
the reason they're there is so if somebody comes on my property, right.
And then they're not set to stay on. I mean, they come on for they was on for 15 minutes, and I cut them down to like 5 minutes.
They got a timer, yes. So you got it set for 5 minutes so you can look outside and see if anybody's there. There is an incident that I want to talk about that you told me there's no incident report written on, and may I call it shots fired? Can you tell me that whole story?
I was going at my son's diesel shop in Ball Ground.
Right.
And then I get a call that says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess." And said, "Well," they said that it come across the scanners that there was shots fired at the drive-in, and they're saying that you were shooting at them, and they had a witness. The call came from the projection room. It was Kathy, Steve's wife, and Courtney, the ex-daughter-in-law, was the witness. And then so I hurry up and come all the way to Blue Ridge as fast as I can.
But they're in the production room. So
that's where the call came from.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
And then whenever I start out Summit Street, I meet Rob Stewart. And I said, "What's going on, Rob?" He said, "Oh, it ain't nothing. They said it was somebody shooting fireworks." I said, "Well, who was shooting fireworks?" "Well, we don't know." I said, "Well, did you come to the house?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Anybody come with you?" "Yeah, Gary come with me." I said, "I bet y'all drove separate vehicles too. What was y'all's intentions?" If I'd have been there, they would have arrested me. I wouldn't,
So they called shots fired. There's no incident report?
No incident report at all.
No incident report.
And the vandalism that happened at the house,
Right. That's what I want. What kind of vandalism happened at your house?
Got windshield shot with a BB gun.
You've had windshield shot with a BB gun.
Like 4 right there at the house on my property.
Okay, now we can go into anything you want to go public with or talk about, and I don't want to forget anything because I told you today, any single thing you want to bring up. Let's go up to this recent arrest, and I'm going to give you my timeline. You and I sit down and talk. It was well over an hour we spent together one day. I told you that day that, hey, now if you wanted to say something that was off the record, let me know, and we had a good talk. And then I came into my show here, our show, and I started discussing some things and going public with some stuff. And about the time I went public with some stuff, and certain people seemed to know you were talking to other people, then after that, you went to a city council meeting. City council meeting was on a Thursday. You decided at a point, I guess you'd heard enough.
You'd
heard enough, and you stood up and very loudly in front of everybody, as you walked out the door, made a motion.
Yes,
for everybody to hear.
They should.
What was the motion you made for everybody?
I said, I'll make a motion that Angie and Johnny both resign immediately, and they should.
Okay, so you did that publicly. And then after it was over, I went up and I have the video and I interviewed both of them and asked why you would do that. And so they acknowledged they were asked that. That was on Thursday. On Friday, you and I went over to Attorney Lynn Wagner's office together, okay? And you continually asked her who paid for the corporation, Concerned Citizens,
and who presented the idea.
Right, who presented that, who paid for it, right? And we were pretty persistent for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the first time I'd ever met her. And she said, I've met you on 3 different occasions, and no.
She started talking to you like she had seen you just all the time.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's it. I don't want to. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't want to lead you. She said, "Well, Patrick, you've lost a lot." I don't want to lead you in the conversation, but it was almost like she was trying to make you remember you met her.
But I mean,
right? But
names I'll forget.
Right,
faces never.
So we asked, and she said she would go through it, and then she said, "Do you remember her telling us if she was given cash, she wouldn't have a record?"
Yes, they wouldn't have a receipt.
Right.
Said it would all be in like the daily deposits.
Right. And do you remember I said to her, I said something to the nature to Lynn Wagner, I said, so you would actually take cash from a client and you don't have a receipt?
Yeah, they didn't ask for a receipt.
Right.
I didn't pay for it.
But you remember that conversation? After we got done, now that was so you and I met. We started exposing some stuff on the show. Some things started coming out. When I started bringing some stuff out, did Miss Arp or anybody contact you, or did you get any text messages of, what are you doing, or
I've got quite a few text messages
since we started discussing this publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So you've gotten several.
Yeah.
Would Miss Arp be one of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel threatened in any of the text messages? Do you feel it? I don't know. I know words.
And one that Angie sent me, yes.
Okay.
Said a lawsuit wasn't the only thing that I had to worry about.
Okay. So you started getting text messages. We went public. Thursday, you asked for their resignation in the middle of a meeting with probably 100 people sitting in there. I interviewed them. Friday, you and I went to the attorney. Saturday, you get arrested. I'm just, just Saturday.
It's all a coincidence. It's a small town.
All right, so, I made a joke, and I don't want you to get upset with me. I've called you the middle finger bandit. I called you the middle finger bandit, and then
grow up.
And then I made a little joke that people are safe in Blue Ridge again because the middle finger bandit's been apprehended. Everybody's safe now. But let's get serious about that. So Steve Setzer, which folks, for you out there, we've named the concerned citizens of Blue Ridge that brought on the investigation that cost the city $40,000 frivolous dollars. My word, that was unnecessary. Once that started getting exposed, that it was Mark Thomason, Steve Setzer, Angie Arp, and Johnny Searce were the concerned citizens of Blue Ridge, and we started exposing that, then things turned on you. Talk about what happened before you got arrested. What led up? You rode down the hill, and tell me the whole story like you told me.
I rode down the street on my bicycle.
You're riding down the street on your bicycle.
Yeah. And then I go out to the farmer's market and turn around, and on my way back, here comes Steve Setzer down the exit ramp of the drive-in. I'm just flying. And then as I was riding by, I throw up my hand. Hello, neighbor. Be honest, I was being sarcastic to him.
I understand.
And then he
you'll admit it wasn't the friendly thing. You're riding your bike.
I had no intentions even seeing him whenever I rode my bicycle out there.
Right.
I just rode it out the road. And then whenever I went, hello, neighbor, he flips me a bird. So I ain't gonna lie, I flipped him. For
those of you in Yorba Linda, California, the bird, that's the middle finger. Go ahead.
And then I tell him his number one back. And then I go into the house like, oh man, there's gonna be a big deal about this. So I get my truck, and as I was leaving, I don't go across the hill right there at the graveyard because somebody's gonna get hit right there head on. I always go out by the drive-in, and as I'm going out through there, Steve is partially blocking the street with his hand in his pocket on his scooter, like he's going to get his gun, and he does carry a weapon.
Yes,
I leaned over in my truck. I ain't going to joke. Thinking that crazy fool may shoot me, and then the next thing I know, the police are at my house to arrest me.
Okay, now.
But I wasn't home.
Who are the officers that come to arrest you?
Michael Green and Alex Deaton.
So Michael Green comes over there to arrest you. What is he? You're not there, so what's he tell? Who's he see? Your wife?
Yeah.
What's he tell her?
Said that they have a warrant for my arrest.
Well, they didn't have a warrant then, did they? Not right then.
They didn't have one at the sheriff's department. When I spoke with Dane about it, I was going to turn myself into him because I don't trust the city.
Right.
And then he said that it wasn't even in his office yet.
All right,
and then
so
he called me later on and said that it was finally up there.
It was finally up there, signed by a magistrate. So let's go back. So they come over. They're going to arrest you for disorderly conduct. My understanding,
they didn't state what the rest.
Right. Well, that's what we have on the paperwork, right? So they're going to arrest you, and the witnesses. Setzer called, and the only witness I understand is his wife, Kathleen Setzer. Is that your understanding? That's the only witness to this?
I don't really know. It's very vague what the warrant says.
Okay, so they're going to arrest you, and for this. Let me see how I want to put this. So
They came to my house twice.
do you understand? Have you seen the video of?
No.
Okay.
I need to, though.
Do you understand? I understand that it's not clear on the video that we can see an actual finger.
That's what I was told.
All right. My understanding is we can't tell there's a finger. We see the hands go up, but we don't see an actual finger. Also, there's no audio, so we don't know if you guys called each other nice names or bad names. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Is that your understanding?
Yeah, they said that I was cussing him.
Okay. Now let's go from there. So that night at the police station, Mayor Whitner, Mayor Whitner goes down and Councilwoman Rhonda Thomas to the police station.
Yeah, I called him. And
But you called them.
Yeah, and asked
All
him.
right. So you called the mayor and said this is what they're getting ready to do.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened there.
And then she said, "Well, I will go see what it is." And she said, "Did you shoot him a bird?" I said, "No." And then she went down there, and then my wife went over there with them.
Your wife was there too?
Yes. And then, they asked to see the video. What proof did they have that I done that? And then there's no proof of it.
All right. Well, you were not there.
No.
You were not there. So it's hearsay, but,
But
it is your
my
wife.
And
yeah, you better.
I trust her with everything.
Oh, I was getting ready to say it might be hearsay, but that's not your average
No, it's
hearsay.
the gospel with her.
It's the okay. Are you aware that Johnny Searce and Michael Green are threatening $1 million lawsuit?
I was told of that today.
Okay. There's $1 million lawsuit pending, possible, by Johnny Searce, and it says that, first of all, it says something to the nature that Mayor Whitner and Rhonda Thomas have tried to interfere in his office in the last 7 years.
Somebody needs to interfere in his office and then follow the law, because he most certainly does not.
Okay. We'll come back to that in a minute. What about I was told, and then also it says that night that Donna Whitner threatened, and again this is hearsay. Donna Whitner, Mayor Whitner threatened Johnny with his job, said he was tired. I'm going to be candid, folks. She was tired of his shit.
Him with his job.
Is that what your wife said that night? Because you weren't there.
Yeah.
Did your wife say it didn't happen?
Yes.
Okay.
But, I mean, in my opinion, she should fire him.
Okay. But where I'm at right now is that night, because it's like it says that Officer Green, Corporal Green, I think it is, Rhonda Thomas called him a son of a bitch and stuff like that. I mean, it sounds like it really got out of hand.
I do not believe that. I think they were there seeking answers.
But your wife was there, so if somebody
Yes.
talked to your wife, she would either be able to validate that or...
Yes.
Okay. How does she feel about that? Do you mind saying her? Because we better not go too far. We get in trouble.
She's real upset with it, because her and Johnny's been friends for over 40 years. And then, it hurt my feelings that she wasn't taking my word for it, that she thought it was me. And then after she got enlightened on quite a few things, it really hurt her feelings that Johnny would just take 40 years of friendship and it meant nothing to him.
Why do you think all the years of friendship with you, all the years of friendship with your wife, why do you think it's meaning nothing to him right now?
Friendship means nothing to him. Everybody is a stepson. If it'll make Johnny shine, he's all for it. He had me arrested for criminal trespass on my own deeded property, which took 3 years in the court system. As soon as Amanda Mercier heard it, and then 3 minutes, she said, "This case has no merit," dismissed.
So that got dismissed.
Yeah, but it took 3 years.
Okay. Let's go another direction. What's your concern with the Blue Ridge City Police Department? You've made some comments to me.
I don't trust them. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe for my family. I mean, they told me I can't even have my floodlights on outside.
Are you concerned now that so many things have gone public? Are you concerned for your family's safety?
Yes.
And you don't feel you could call the police?
There's no way. I even asked Dane Kirby if I get pulled over by him.
And that's the sheriff?
Yes. I mean, I'll hand them my license and insurance and registration out the window, and then I'll request for a county officer to come there.
I should have said this much earlier. I should have opened up. You are a citizen of Blue Ridge.
Yes.
You're a voter.
Yes.
So the tax money you pay, you're a taxpayer there. The tax money you pay in the city helps pay their salaries
Yes.
and so on. So, do you think that the Johnny Searce, Chief of Police, that it's time for somebody like the G.B.I. to come in and go through that city police department?
It's past time.
If I was to ask you, because you and I don't know, we need somebody in there to tell us factually, what do you think they would find? What are some of the things? I mean, I know what I think. But what are some of the things you think?
I know I'm not the only one that he has misrepresented the law to, that will enforce it on some and won't on the others. And then I really think that they need to go through his evidence and his bookkeeping.
Evidence of bookkeeping? Particular reason why, or just leave it there?
We'll just leave it there.
Okay. All right.
He can't be trusted.
Do you think your civil rights have been violated?
Yes, I do. I think that I've been intimidated, harassed, and then, made do something that I shouldn't have to. I mean, my floodlights are for security for me and my family.
Do you know when you have to go to court, or you know anything
No,
about
I
the
don't know
details?
anything about that yet.
Do you? Are there things today that we haven't had a chance to talk about, or you want to think about, maybe come back, or is there things that we didn't talk about because we talked about a lot of other stuff?
Well, I've got a lot to get a lot of this information together, all my paperwork and my documents to prove everything that I've said.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I can do that, and then I'm sure we'll have another sit down.
All right, so you can prove all. You can get all
I'll prove
of
everything I've just said.
Okay. The tips. Let me go back to that just a minute. How many times? Can you tell me how many times?
I don't really know the exact number.
All right. Or an amount?
No.
Okay. All right. But today, as you leave our studio, you particularly don't feel safe in Blue Ridge.
No, and especially after this airs.
Well, our intent is to help you get the information out.
Now there's
not to put you in
good
danger.
officers up there, real good officers. There's only two, and the chief that I don't trust at all.
Who are the two? Do you mind saying the two? Is Mr. Green one of them? Corporal Green?
Yes. Michael Green is one of them, and the one that come out and did the investigation on my windshields. I don't trust him at all, and Johnny.
Okay.
Which would be Gary Huffman. And then Gary and I used to have a real good relationship up till that day. And his dad, Wayne Huffman, is a fine, upstanding man, passed away.
Previous council member, right?
Yes.
Wayne was previous council
and
member.
a very good man.
Yes, I remember Wayne very well. What about now Corporal Green? He is actually the one. He has made a lot of comments on social media about the mayor obstructing. What are they so concerned about right now, and why? I mean, when you read the potential lawsuit, the accusations made, he says they obstructed them from doing his job.
Well, the only one that stopped him from doing his job is Johnny. Why wouldn't they do anything about the noise ordinance? I mean, it's in the city ordinance. Enforce it. I mean, it's simple.
And there was no incident report the night that it was said shots fired.
Yeah, not at all.
No incident report. And
they didn't even pursue who was shooting fireworks.
They just called it fireworks.
Yeah, they just saw that I wasn't there, and then,
But a call came from the drive-in, shots fired.
Yes.
How do you know a call came in, shots fired? Who told you that?
Donna.
Okay. So.
I reckon that's
all right, and you. Yeah, I can understand. I see what you're saying. So, let's do this. Let's wrap up today. And let's try to get some of the documents together.
But all that I got up there and said in those council meetings, I feel bad about that because.
Yeah, how did you did go up there?
I give Donna and Rhonda a hard time And then I was totally wrong on it. I mean, 100% wrong. And then this goes to what kind of character both of those people are. You know, I can't say that I would be as friendly as they are to me if the roles were reversed.
Well, in the possible lawsuit, the first statement is that they are doing things to the Blue Ridge City Police for political gains.
No.
Do you feel they're being nice to you for political gains?
No. They've not one mentioned anything about will you vote for me or anything like that.
I would come to the council.
It's not for the votes what they're doing. They're doing it because they care about the city. And then if there's a wrongdoing, then there's a wrongdoing. Johnny needs to do his job. That's why they were over there. If he'd have done his job previously, none of that all would have been taken. It would never have happened.
In the last election, Johnny ran for sheriff, and I filed an ethics violation against him, and he had to pay a $300 fine. My ethics violation was that Mark Thomason at the Fannin Focus was giving Johnny advertising and not charging him for it. Is there anything in that last election that we should know or something we want to talk about in the future? Or?
I think that's the can of worms that Johnny really don't want the lid opened on.
You don't want the lid opened on?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, he's over there intimidating that Jeff Brown about, trying to tell him who to vote for. Even went to his house in his police car whenever he made the complaint and then jumped on him. And Jeff, he's a real simple person.
The reason I ask is about that time, they were friendly with you. So let's just put it like that. About that time that election was going on.
Not in the last election. That right there had a lot to do with Johnny. Whenever he arrested me for criminal trespass. Right. And then we wasn't on a talking.
I mean
buddy.
But I'm just saying the last time he ran for sheriff, because when I sit down and I hear concerned citizens of Blue Ridge, and I hear there's a council member that is writing, and because there was weren't there several articles written for the publisher of the Fannin Focus that said concern with your name? But your name was on there.
Yes, yeah, I never wrote anything to the paper, have never written anything to the paper.
Do you know those were Miss Arp's, or do you not?
They wasn't mine. They were Mark's or Angie's.
Mark or Angie's.
And then I'm assuming Angie and Mark got together on them, and then they came up with them.
Well, I don't want to turn this in another direction, but I do have one thing that bothers me, and I'll tell you why. Because when elections take place, you, the citizens, deserve to have candidates that actually tell you the truth,
right,
uphold what they do, what they say they're going to do, and keep their promises. And I don't like things that are not done right during elections. I filed several ethics commissions complaints in the last election, and I have 3 sources that, and this camera don't bother me. I have 3 sources that said that Mr. Searce paid the print bill for the Fannin Focus with his credit card. That's what sources told me. I can't.
Johnny has loaned him a lot of money, and so has Angie.
Johnny and Angie loaned the Fannin Focus a lot of money.
And Steve, he was a financial backer in the Fannin Focus also.
Well, you're a stand-up guy, because you know what? I'm a patient person. Now, we've brought wives into it, so my wife won't agree that I'm a patient person, today. But you're a stand-up guy, and I got a lot of respect for what you're doing. And I really feel strongly that you've just been pressed upon. It's time to do the right thing. And I don't mean that. I'm not putting that on you.
I made a lot of enemies that I really wish that I hadn't. And then, I don't like enemies. I'd rather the next time I see someone, greet them with a handshake, and hey, how have you been?
Right.
and then because life's too short.
I hope that you will continue. Maybe you should get all the law enforcement you can talk to, because I'm serious. I do know you don't need to be walking around concerned with you and your family and their safety. And so I would hope maybe you can get another meeting with the sheriff, or ask him to get somebody else to say, hey, I got some concerns, and then you could share them privately.
I don't want to, but I mean, it's all pointing towards legal action towards them. And then, the city don't need to be. I mean, they should be accountable for their own actions. You can't sue the persons. I mean, you gotta sue the city, and that's the last thing I want to do. But
why'd they tell you they got a warrant? Let's say you and I have talked about this off camera. Let's say they were mad and they gave you a citation, a chief sets her a citation. Here's a $250 fine for you and a $250 fine for you, and you guys just shut up and go on. That's what it sounds like it would be to me. Well, but they got a warrant.
I don't feel that I should get to fine for anything.
No, I don't. But why did they go with a warrant? I mean,
because I guarantee you, Steve told them to. He thinks he's a big kingpin. He's a legend in his own mind.
But now he's never gotten a citation or been.
No, they haven't told him to quieten down over there.
Nothing.
And then he says there was never a noise barrier fence up over there at the drive-in. And then I mean, there's no telling at what can come over to my house thinking my home is affiliated with the drive-in. With no lights on now. I mean. But okay. I'll tell you, I am going to start putting my lights back on.
All right, I got to ask you. We're going to end with this, because I'll tell you what, we talked about tips. We're not going back there, but let's just say I know how some things could work up in Blue Ridge. So that being said, look at me and tell me now: has Councilwoman Rhonda Thomas or Mayor Donna Whitner offered you anything?
Nothing.
Offered to do anything for you?
Nothing.
Or told you this helped their political career? Anything?
No.
They've not asked for anything.
They're not asked for anything.
Not expecting anything from you.
No.
Now the other thing is
that's one thing that gets me. I mean, that shows the true character of those people.
Did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
I reached out to Donna because it said on the noise ordinance that Johnny brought me.
Okay.
That said that the only way that the noise ordinance could be altered was by written permission from the mayor. So that's who I went to. I asked her if she had given anything to Steve in writing that he could go past 11 o'clock.
I don't have anything else. When you get the paperwork that shows Ms. Arp's handwriting and things of that nature, I would like to see it. And if anything goes forward, please keep us in the loop.
All right.
And anything we can do to, I don't want to say help, I don't want to use that in the wrong terms, but, you and I both are stepping out, exposing some of this stuff. So
I thank you for your time and your concern.
Thank you for yours.